All right, so let's just start right there, right? So the award show comes out and we finally have clarity. I think a lot of people agreed on who would be in the top 4. The order was the mystery. As you see there, Ohio State, number 1, Georgia 2, Michigan 3, Florida State, number 4, and the first 2 out in order are Washington and Oregon. Let's just start generally, guys, because I think we had some debate on, is this the right order? Do you guys think the committee got it right? T-Bob, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think sure, right? I have too much trouble getting too upset about any of this. Like, would I have ranked it a bit differently? Yeah, I think it's a bit odd that you could have 6 Pac-12 teams ranked in the top 25, and yet the leader of the Pac-12, who's undefeated and who has a really good win against a 7th-place team, is somehow not in that top 4. But let's make no mistake. I said it yesterday. November, turkey season, is championship season. And Washington's going to have their opportunity. They got USC, Utah, Oregon State, and a Pac-12 game, which will all be against ranked teams. UGA got number 12 Mizzou, 10 Ole Miss, 17 Tennessee. Michigan's got 2 top 10 matchups coming on. So, like, look, I have quibbles. I would change some things. There's some interesting takeaways here to be sure. But for the most part, I have no major issue with the top 4.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say that they didn't get it right. Like, I think us as people who view the sport in detail could justify every place where they put these teams. And this is certainly just first ranking. These things are, as we've seen in the past, they'll put teams anywhere, any given week. So let's not get too carried away. What I do think is interesting about the way that they did it is they clearly said for Ohio State that they valued the resume there with a couple of marquee wins and a better resume than anybody else in college football can say that they have. There's certainly an Ohio State team that I think a lot of us see flaws in, but we think that they can compete. Where they lost me was what they did with 2 and 3. And this is not a knock on Georgia and Michigan, because I personally think both of those teams are better than Ohio State as of right now. But the idea that we went full-on resume at number 1, and then we said, we're kind of going to do the eye test thing, because the metrics really don't give us much with Georgia and Michigan based off of who they played. That's the question, but it gives us a lens into where this committee's thinking.
You know, the funny thing is as I was thinking about, did they get it right? I don't know. We can debate about whether they got it right, but how about I say this? I don't think they got it wrong. Right. Does that make sense? Sure. Like that, I don't think they got it wrong. Maybe you could have some debate about the number 2 and number 3, but here's where the conversation goes, though, because by putting Ohio State at 1, even though I think we all agree they're not the best team in the country, you're saying you value resume and you're giving some buffer for the Buckeyes. Meanwhile, for the 3rd and 4th team, Michigan and Florida State, the question I have for you guys, T-Bob, why don't you lead us off? Can either Michigan or Florida State afford a loss and still